Hello there. Welcome to Just the Discs. We talk about Blu-rays here. And I have to apologize. It's been a minute since I spoke about the wonderful work of the UK-based label Indicator, powerhousefilms.co.uk, if you want to check out their stuff. One of my favorite labels and one that I've praised for a long time because they do great work. But I also love the variety of films they put out, the risks that they take in terms of the box sets. I put out a box set video, fascinating box sets from Indicator. Go check that out because they really do put out some things that they're taking a chance on, and I appreciate so much when labels do that they're not just looking for something that they're 100% sure will sell because it's obvious. They're coming from a place of love of film and cinema in general. And one of the things I love about Indicator is that they have this recurring thing where they dip back into classic cinema. As folks who follow this show may know, I'm a huge fan of classic cinema, and so I really appreciate that. A couple of my favorite classic film releases they've put out in the last several years include things like Howard Hawks' The Criminal Code with Walter Huston. Really great, and this is the only Blu-ray of this movie that I know of at this time. Really great prison movie, Boris Karloff, great stuff. And then at the same time, they put out Howard Hawks' 20th Century with John Barrymore and Carole Lombard, playing at the New Beverly in March, by the way, on a double bill with My Man Godfrey, a little Carole Lombard double bill. But anyway, this is the only Blu-ray of this that I'm aware of. Now, these are both Region B locked, and all these that I'm going to talk to you about today are also Region B locked. So the classic film fans that want to get these from Indicator are going to have to be region free if they're in the States. But like I said, these are worth your time, and it's a cool thing to just keep track of what classic film stuff they're putting out. So recently they put out four, I think these are all from the 30s, classic films here, and I'm going to start with Love Me Tonight. It's from 1932, directed by Ruben Mamoulian. Ruben Mamoulian was, a big director in the 30s. He, of course, directed the original Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde with Frederick March, and Frederick March will come up in a minute here. But he also did like Queen Christina with Greta Garbo. He did The Mark of Zorro in 1940. That's not a 30s film, but he's really an interesting director and one that I think has become a little bit forgotten these days. He worked with Tyrone Power again in Blood and Sand, and anyway, interesting dude. And this is a Maurice Chevalier musical. It features four-time screen couple, Maurice Chevalier and Jeanette MacDonald. They were also in The Love Parade, The Merry Widow. I'm trying to think, there's one more that I'm blanking on. Teaming up once more for a much, much loved musical comedy. And it says, when the debt owed to a Parisian tailor, that's Chevalier, becomes too great, he decides to travel to the aristocratic home of his non-paying customer. There he falls for Princess Jeanette MacDonald, who rejects his advances due to his low social standing. However, she changes her tune when she is led to believe he is a royal traveling incognito. So I love that sort of deception that happens in some of these comedies. It's always fun when there's like a mistaken identity thing. Sometimes it's a full-on plot point like this, but with songs by the legendary Rodgers and Hart, including the immortal Isn't It Romantic, and a supporting cast featuring Charles Ruggles and Myrna Loy, Love Me Tonight is one of the screen's great musicals. And I think it is a very neat... Oh, C. Aubrey Smith is in this too, as well as Charles Butterworth. It is a great musical. Maurice Chevalier may be an acquired taste. That could be something, but it is delightful, and he has this effervescent persona and is able to pull off being a suave ladies' man and breaking into song in a way that I feel like not too many actors could. Fred Astaire maybe could pull it off, but he's a unique actor, and yeah. Anyway, so this is a 2023 restoration from a 4K scan, original mono audio commentary with writers and critics Glenn Kenny and Farron Smith-Neme. I love them as a duo, and I love that Indicator has come back to them a lot for noirs and other classic films, and they always do a nice job. They, bounce off each other quite well. So a nice track from them. Isn't It Romantic is a 27-minute brand new in-depth discussion of Ruben Mamoulian's classic musical by writer and critic Jeff Andrew. And Hollywood on Parade excerpts from 1932. It's only about 3 minutes, but it's Maurice Chevalier and Jeanette MacDonald performing musical numbers from the film for a newsreel series. And it's got a limited edition 40-page booklet with an essay by Philip Concannon and a selection of archival interviews with Mamoulian and film credits. These are great booklets. I'm not going to show you every booklet that's on these discs, but just know these limited editions, they do put the time in on these booklets, and they're really nice, glossy booklets, and well worth your time. Just another part of why Indicator is so cool is that they do put the time in on these booklets, and they do often give you reversible artwork if you like without their banner on the top, although I love their color banner so much that I always leave those up. So anyway, that's Love Me Tonight. That's the first of the 4. Next up we have An American Tragedy, and if that sounds familiar to you, it should, because it's a novel by Theodore Dreiser, which would later be adapted as A Place in the Sun, which of course starred Montgomery Clift and Liz Taylor, and was inspired by a notorious real-life murder case. So this is before A Place in the Sun. This is Joseph von Sternberg doing a version of that same story in 1931. And it's sort of, again, in the middle of his classic series of collaborations with Marlene Dietrich, von Sternberg substituted the iconic German star Philip Holmes, who is actually also in the Criminal Code, interestingly, and Sylvia Sidney, who is in Beetlejuice, but was in a ton of, other pieces that I'm a fan of. So Clyde Holmes, a poor garment worker with a past he wishes to forget, has a shot at the good life when he meets an heiress, Sandra, that's Frances D. But when his clandestine girlfriend, Roberta, that's Sydney, announces she is pregnant, Clyde considers drastic actions in order to preserve his dream of affluence. And again, it's based on that novel. So Frances D. is the Liz Taylor role. Sylvia Sidney is the Shelley Winters role in this case. This is a 2019 restoration from 4K scan, original mono audio commentary with film historian Josh Nelson. Also great, often paired with Alexandra Heller-Nicholas, and they're a great duo, but he's good by himself as well. Joseph von Sternberg, Oral History, 1958, 27 minutes, a rare archival audio recording of the celebrated filmmaker in conversation with George Pratt. Lee Garms, Oral History, 1958, 89 minutes, and another rare archival audio recording of the cinematographer in conversation with Pratt. And An American Picture, 2023, 29 minutes. This is brand new. Extensive discussion of An American Tragedy by writer and film programmer Tony Raines, great film commentator. Nurture and Nature, 2023, 8 minutes. Video essay by film historian Tag Gallagher. And this one includes a new essay in the book by Imogen Sarah Smith, Jeff Billington, and Sergei Eisenstein's proposed Hollywood adaptation of American Tragedy. Extracts from Joseph von Sternberg's memoir, Fun in a Chinese Laundry, and an archival article on Theodore Dreiser's response as well. So really nice release of this one, a Sternberg movie, and obviously they did a Sternberg box set as well at one point. Okay, so next up we have Desire. This one is by Frank Borzaghi, who's gotten a lot of love on Blu-ray between labels Kino and some others in the last couple years. Back to Marlene Dietrich and Gary Cooper here, and They star in this romantic crime caper directed by Borzage, who also did Farewell to Arms and Little Man What Now? Is that what it's called? I'm blanking on some of the titles. When a jewel thief, Madeline, that's Dietrich, leaves Paris with a string of pearls, she conspires to smuggle them across the Spanish border with an unwitting assistance of an American mechanic, that's Cooper. Retrieving the jewels turns out to be harder than she thinks, and she finds herself falling for Tom. Reuniting leads Joseph von Sternberg's smash hit Morocco. That's the film they did previous to this. And co-produced by the great Ernst Lubitsch. Desire was an acclaimed by author Graham Greene as the best of Dietrich's American films. So that's high praise. Also has John Holliday, William Frawley from I Love Lucy. This is one I'm very curious to check out. This is a 2022 restoration from a 4K scan. Original mono audio commentary with writer and critic Nathaniel Bell and film historian David Del Valle. Very cool. I like David. I'm a fan of his stuff. Frank Borzage, oral history. These are interesting. 40 minutes, rare archival audio recording of the filmmaker in conversation with George Pratt. Mr. Cooper Goes to Hollywood. This is new. 12 minutes. Film historian and curator Nathaniel Morris discusses the stardom and style of the iconic Hollywood actor Gary Cooper. Lux Radio Theater, Desire. 1937, 55 minutes. This is the radio play adaptation of the film's screenplay starring Marlene Dietrich alongside Herbert Marshall in the Gary Cooper role. And this one has a booklet with a new essay by Christina Newland, big fan of hers, archival interviews with Gary Cooper, Marlene Dietrich, and Frank Borzage as well. So that is Desire. And lastly, in this classic film set, we have, as I said, back to Frederick March, we have Honor Among Lovers. This is Claudette Colbert and Frederick March from 1931. They star in Honor Among Lovers, a romantic comedy drama by Dorothy Arzner. Wall Street trader Jerry, that's Frederick March, is in love with his secretary Julia, that's Colbert, but she turns him down to marry Philip Monroe Owlsley. A year later, realizing the mistake she's made, she borrows money from Jerry, leading Philip to become dangerously jealous. Co-written by Gertrude Purcell, Destry Rides Again, which is one of my favorite Marlene Dietrich movies, and I would say, for me, maybe her best American film, but that's tough, actually. It's hard to decide. And featuring a scene-stealing supporting turn from Ginger Rogers. Honor Among Lovers is a sizzling pre-code love triangle, so that should be a pretty good sell for anybody. I think a lot of these are Paramount movies, and so, like, Paramount has a lot of stuff that's starting to crop up. No, actually, Desire is Universal. American Tragedy is Universal. And Honor Among... I'm sorry. This is the only Paramount. My bad. Love Me Tonight is Universal. So, Universal and Paramount. This is a 2017 restoration from a 4K scan, original mono audio commentary with academic curator Eloise Ross. George Folsey, oral history, 1958, 130 minutes, over 2 hours of a rare archival audio recording of the cinematographer in conversation with George Pratt. Sugar and Spice, this is new, 13 minutes, and academic Lucy Bolton assesses the early career of the much-loved performer Ginger Rogers. Very cool. Hail and Farewell, 1943. This is a 7-minute short documentary film on the achievements of the Women's Auxiliary Army Corps, WAAC, produced during Dorothy Arzner's time as a director and supervisor with the military branch. To the Ladies, 1944, 15 minutes, dramatized recruitment film for the Women's Army Corps, formerly the WAAC, produced during Arzner's time at the military unit. This one includes a 44-page booklet with new essay by Pamela Hutchinson, an account of the film's production using archival interviews and articles, extracts from an archival interview with Dorothy Arzner, an overview of contemporary critical responses, Anthony Neild on Arzner's films for the WAAC, and film credits. Again, these are all Region B locked, but head over to powerhousefilms.co.uk to snag them. And just keep an eye on all the classic film stuff that Indicator has put out and hopefully will continue to put out. You know, they just announced a really nice Whistler noir box set that I'm very excited to check out. So that's one of the latest from them. But hopefully they'll have more in the pipe. Noir sets, their noir sets are some of the best sets that exist in terms of that. They're one of the originators of the noir sets. I feel like other labels have done that since then, but they kind of kicked it off, and I salute them for it. So anyway, always love what Indicator's doing. Keep an eye on their website and their socials for announcements. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.